Good afternoon, one and all. It's another edition of Coffee Break Live Update with yours truly, Isaac George. It is the 19th of June, 2020. So, there we go. Broadcasting to you live from beautiful downtown Littleport in the United Kingdom. Should I turn that light off? Oh well. I'm just going to wait for a few folks to arrive, a few more folks, and we'll get started with the celebrations and the events. Anyway, it is Friday, TGIF, everyone. If you're not from the United States, you may not know what that means. It's also a restaurant chain. Thank God it's Friday. Isn't it interesting how it seems like we're all working for the weekend? I'm referencing actually an old hit song, top 40 hit song by a band from Canada called Loverboy. And they did a song called Working for the Weekend. Welcome one and all. It is Friday the 19th, which tomorrow is followed by the 20th, and then on Sunday the 21st. And that's what we're here to talk about today. I had to change things up from yesterday for a variety of reasons. For one, my laptop is in the shop, letting a tech give it a makeover. So there was a lot of scrambling yesterday in Mercury retrograde to get everything backed up. So today is about Sunday. It's about the Cancer eclipse. But that said, it's also about Neptune going retrograde. I'm going to stay in the near term as much as possible, but go out about 4 months, 5 months from the eclipse. This is an annular solar eclipse, otherwise known as a ring of fire eclipse. Because of the effect that looks like a ring of gold against a dark background. So it's kind of a perfect segue for sort of a Lord of the Rings moment, or it could just be a way to feel like we're being pushed or birthed out of birth canal, and on the other side of that birth canal is light. We come into the light of the world. And so the whole point of this 0-degree Cancer eclipse is, now it's not that these things don't happen on a regular basis. They do, having things like eclipses happen at the 0 degree of the world axis. I'm not going to get into the astrobabble techno side about what that 0 degree world axis means, but it's Cancer, it's water sign, cardinal water, which means it leads, it initiates things. And Cancer is the ruler of home. It is the ruler of the waters. It is the ruler of emotions. And it is very, very strongly aligned with the idea of mother. And so when we stop and think about universal mom or planetary mother, it's certainly this earth. This is the mother on a lot of layers and levels, both esoterically and physically. So I feel that this is sort of, in a way, Sophia Gaia's waking up a little bit more to the fact that it's time to correct things. Now, that correction doesn't have to be viewed or seen as some sort of outside energy or force coming in to alter things in your reality, my reality, the planet's reality. But I think it's sort of a wake-up call for Gaia to say, all right, the evolutionary intent for my children has been subverted and corrupted, and I'm going to bring it back into alignment. But she can only do that with our cooperation, our conscious volition, our choice to cooperate with nature, cooperate with the natural rhythms and harmonies and resonances of the cosmos. So this eclipse is big. We're building up to it. I'm going to avoid words like portal because it's been bandied around too much for the last 34 years. As you know, you're going to miss the portal. You're not going to be able to make it through to the next level. It sounds like a video game. We are not in a video game, and we are not avatars in a video game. We are real, live, breathing, organic, biological embodiments of divinity. And as such, we cannot allow ourselves to any longer give away a power give away our power, our sense of sovereignty, our sense of spiritual identity to anything exterior-wise that doesn't relate to love and nurturing. And that is what the earth represents. It represents fecundity, means fertility, abundance, sometimes raw emotion. It's sort of like thinking, how can you think of a goddess like Sophia having the same emotions as human beings? Well, let's turn the tables on that. If in the Gnostic belief system or mythos we are her children, then we would inherit that broad range of emotions that every soul is capable of: joy, fear, rage, anger, ecstasy, bliss, deep emotions that run the scale from what we would consider to be low and high. So I think that emotions are needing to be paid attention to at this time, especially emotional allowing, emotional embracing, and even allowing ourselves to don't forgive or make excuses or think emotions are somehow things to be tapped out, subverted. Now, I think that was a useful technique for a long time. I'm not trying to pick on any particular healing modality, but there can be a form of bypassing when we have a strong, powerful emotion arise and we don't know how to deal with it, or it's so uncomfortable we don't want to deal with it, so we find some technique or tool to kind of calm the waters as fast as possible because it's distracting us from something else we'd rather be doing or some other way we would like to be feeling or thinking. But I think this arising of all that we are seeing, whether it's having to do with the George Floyd thing, whether it's doing with COVID, coronavirus, whether it's doing with the sudden emergence or eruption of all of that which has been hidden or squelched or diverted. In other words, there's a lot. I put on the byline of this, if you're not paranoid, you're not from here, which is actually a quote from a book. And to me, it sort of represents what's been going on. There's a lot of point, counterpoint, which is true, which is false, which information leads to something that you can actually, sink your teeth into and say, yeah, that's it, that's the truth, that's it right there. And then 2 days later find out it's not. What do you believe in anymore? And in the meantime, your emotional field is going up, down, up, down, up, down. And you end up feeling like somebody is playing you like a puppet master and you're just up and down, up and down, up and down. And we all feel that. We all feel that this has just been an absolute excruciating running of a gauntlet, as if there's no end to it. There's no foreseeable outcome or exit point to when this feeling of just running from one crisis or being pulled along from one crisis to a next is going to stop. When is this going to stop? Not anytime soon. So if you want the good news is the end of the world as you know it, and the bad news is it's the end of the world as you know it. It's just a matter of perspective. And yes, some people will feel that very personally. Some people will feel that directly in their lives. And no, they didn't create it for themselves and they brought it on themselves, but they have chosen to incarnate and be here at this time, so there is some semblance of validity to that idea. But whatever happens to them at a personal level is not something designed to look like or mimic self-punishment or self-abuse. That said, what goes forward from this point? What happens after the eclipse? Well, eclipses like this tend to ring like a bell for a long time, anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Depends what they're triggering, what is triggering from the last time we had a 0-degree Cancer eclipse, and that was the last eclipse that occurred before 9/11, September 11th, 2001. We know where that led. So one of the main things that this intention is, this choice is for us right now, is to make sure that this energy doesn't get co-opted in some form of terror, some form of mass paranoia. It's sort of like consider the wild and crazy possibility that there is a conspiracy to create conspiracy theories to debunk other conspiracy theories. That's a rabbit hole that's not easy to go down. But that said, it sure seems that way. So one of the things in the next 6 months, 3 to 6 months, is trusting true emotional intelligence, your true intuition, your true gut feeling, and seeing where that leads you, or asking your spirit or asking your soul, well, what do I do with this? What is this about? And not taking things completely at face value, but also not sitting there and going, I've got to analyze this and I got to figure it out. It's like, it's like things dropping breadcrumbs in front of you, and then all of a sudden they lead you to some revelation, or at least that's what the hope is. And sometimes they lead you down a dead-end street. So we don't like that feeling, do we? Of being had, of being fooled. And so with this eclipse, it's about developing that emotional intelligence and that discernment, and not following every single conspiracy theory or conspiracy about a conspiracy, and parsing it out on your own terms, in your own way. One of the ways you can do that, the simple, way to do that, is Dr. David Hawkins' simple kinesiology test. That there is at any given subject matter, any given event, any given question that you might have, it can be determined, the truth of it can be determined with proper, unbiased muscle testing, i.e. kinesiology. That technique is outlined in detail in his first book, Power versus Force. You could probably find the quotation or a recapping of that somewhere online, but I'm not here to encourage everybody to Google or to get involved with Google. That's counterproductive or counterintuitive, you know what I mean. So one of the things that we also are going to be faced with during this same time is Neptune is going to be retrograde in Pisces. So we have two water sign events, cardinal water and mutable water. And Piscean mutable water energy can be truth in one moment, and then the illusion dissolves like a mirage, and all of a sudden you find there's something really silly or bogus behind it. Case in point, recently, like today, all of a sudden there's all these posts going around and video YouTube links being provided concerning the Sara and Joe. Now, I first heard about this stuff a long time ago, and I don't want to date myself too much, but 25 years ago. And it quite simply is a kind of a it's kind of a Barnum and Bailey three-ring circus diversion. Okay, it doesn't really exist. It's become a New Age thing. Supposedly Saint Germain started that. If you want to believe that, fine. But there is no substance to it. It turned out that most of the information or hoopla that was developed by this was this woman in the Pacific Northwest called One Dove or something like that, Dove Love, I don't remember exactly. And it was a banking scam. It was a banking scam. And it's still, she ended up foul of the IRS. And anyway, I don't know what happened to her. I think she passed away a few years back. But it just keeps cropping up. Somebody keeps recycling it. And it has to do, if you want to look it up, Wikipedia, Nesara, Nesara. Please don't buy into it. Please don't get your hopes up that somehow Trump or some other government official or the U.S. military is going to bail everybody's butt out of debt, out of the condition or the system that the world is currently seduced by. That's disempowering. It puts you in the position of thinking somebody else is going to do this for us. Somebody else is going to do this for us, and we don't have to do a thing. Okay. That's part of the big lie. That's part of the big, pee under the cup thing. We're going to shuffle the cup around. You've got to figure out which cup the pee has. It's misdirection. There's a lot more besides this that will keep you busy all day long and into the late hours of the night, wondering what is what. Neptune retrograde in Pisces is going to be, how shall we say, stirring up even more red herrings, even more disinformation, even more misinformation, even more controversy or controversy. It will probably start feeling like psychic static. It also kind of opens the door for other influences from the astral realm to attach to people's negative, fear-based emotional structures. Don't buy anything from any kind of low-level entity or consciousness that is trying to convince you that the government's out to get you. They're out to get everybody. Let's be honest. That's been apparent from the very get-go. Culture is not your friend, and the government's, what was one of the three big lies? I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you. That's classic. So, we're here to help ourselves. We're here to help each other. But we're not here to then, get to a certain point and all of a sudden give our power away to some hero, some political figure, some spiritual guru, or some, wise guy that thinks they've got the answers to everything. And that is not going to serve. So the Neptune retrograde is part of that. Is a part of a coming up of all of the attachments to some other figure or authority going to tell us what's so, what's real, what we should do, how we should do it, and what parameters you have. Things will get very blurry. Things may get very confusing. One of the things I certainly wouldn't trust is anything official or mainstream media, ever more so during the next 6 to 7 months, because of this particular influence. And it's designed to work that way to help us see where we have been telling ourselves stories that aren't really true. Even spiritual ones, we think, this and such is, the absolute zenith of spiritual information or spiritual enlightenment. You could end up setting yourself up for a crash. So it's what makes it deliberately delicious and attractive is that there is a pull, an undertow in the Neptunian astral shadow of, seducing you into believing a vision that, oh wow, all the sparkly lights, everything was great, I felt like, huge unconditional love. And then all of a sudden the rug's pulled out from under you and you go into that when a post-workshop crash and everything just comes back to earth with a thud, and you're just wondering, where'd all that good feeling go to, and where were all the good promises, and what happened to all that? What this can possibly do with Mars also going into Aries at the same time over the 6 months on the shadow or the ringing of the eclipse is create a lot of resentment and a lot of frustration and a lot of anxiety. So where do we steer through all this? What is the gauntlet we have to run? It's through our own fear predominantly. It's through the forgetting that we are God, Goddess, all that is, in individuated form, yes, crystallized in this particular point, in time-space. But to put layers between us and that, artificial ones, constructs of the mind, belief systems that get compounded on top of other belief systems until we're not even sure who we are or what is not the way we're going to get through this. So what does your spirit say about this, that, or the other is the thing to listen to. Your inner voice, your intuition, your gut, your deepest feeling or emotion about anything will be your compass, will be the thing that gets you pointed in the right direction and looking to being aimed to where it is you want to be and where you want to see the planet being. It may not be realizable or materially here next year or the year after or 10 years or 20 years from now. But that doesn't mean give up. That doesn't mean, it's not for a good reason or it's not going to be worthwhile. It will be worthwhile. Do it for you And then through that, it will empower others to also do it for themselves and encourage others and encourage, those close to you. Find your tribe is the other thing. That was something else that some other good astrologers have been saying, that this is a good time to look for your tribe, regardless of your locality, your geographic locality, the people you resonate with, that you love without any solid foundation or reason for. That is your tribe. That is your conclave, your grouping, your soul collective. And so pay attention to that. Whoever you vibe with, whoever you get along with, whoever lights you up just because you hear their name, see their face, hear their voice, or you have interactions with, those are the people that are going to help you become more self-realized as being the spark of spirit, the spark of the divine. They, in turn, you turn around and you pay that forward to somebody else, all right, in whatever form that might be appropriate. And you'll know that in the moment it's needed. Coffee time. So that's the main thing on the point I wanted to make about 6 months going forward. And also to be prepared for a lot of flack showing up, especially in New Age spiritual circles. Flack meaning distracting explosions of things to kind of cause you to go, oh, I wonder what that's about. I'm going to go over and look at that, or I'm going to go and check this out and investigate that. Not everything that falls in front of you is something that is for your edification or for your upliftment. Not everything. Sometimes these things happen, events happen, stuff happens, to give you a taste of what it is you already know you don't really need or you don't want. So that's important to recognize, that not everything is there that happens or occurs is necessarily for the best. But if you have any doubt in that moment, you can always say, Spirit, what do I do with this? Is this important? Should I follow it up? Should I forget it? Toss it out the window? That's for you to decide. Overall, I think I'll come back to the original message here about this eclipse. Meditate, yes. Breathe deeply. Get really, 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 really in a loving space with your body and with your feelings. And recognize that you have inherited these qualities because they were placed there deliberately by divine intelligence. And so they are your gateway to truth and to true light, not false light philosophies or perceptions, but true light, so that you can get fortified enough to get through the gauntlet. So what is your highest vision? What is your highest intent? What is your highest ideal? Point in that direction, write it down, realize that it's subject to change according to your notice, and then get really into this deep feeling space with the planet's story, the planet's intelligence, mom's instruction directly through your heart, through your body, through your soul, of what is the appropriate thing for you to be doing and you to be participating with and being involved with. So astrology is important. I am offering a transit report special for people who want to find out how to best take advantage of the energy and how to navigate or work it for themselves according to their own natal chart over the next 6 months. And that's great. But you don't necessarily need it unless you feel drawn to working with me or drawn to having that sort of thing done as a tool of reflection, a tool to go deeper within. Everybody's natal chart is different. They're unique as snowflakes, as unique as people themselves. And so therefore how these events, these astro events occur are going to impact and influence some people stronger than others. Bless those that haven't really set it up so that they get, how shall we say, jackhammered a bit through this whole process. It is an amazing time. I think that's one of the things is, can you look around, can you see everything that's happening and in some way bless it for what it's showing us, for what it's doing for everyone, instead of what it might be doing to everyone. That said, there are certain things that need action. And in fact, all things need action. It's not just about a good idea or a wonderful inspiration. Unless it's put into action, it means nothing on this plane of reality. Got that gentle little nudge and reminder from rereading the first Conversations with God book by Neale Donald Walsh, which I dearly loved when they first came out in the mid-90s. So it's funny how with Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, I've been drawn to going back and reading old material that's 25 years old and finding new meaning or new applications for the information there that actually do help. They do form a constructive upwelling of support for me at the moment. So there are people we can learn from. There are people we can, go back to, that are foundational concepts, foundational support, and say, yeah, that makes sense. That feels right. And now I can build on that more from this point forward. So I think that's about it for me today. It's the end of the week. We've got our computers in getting fresh hard drives today. Good Mercury retrograde occupation for people who need to kind of make sure that their technology is going to keep working for the time being. And so this weekend, unfortunately, not all weekends can be just kick back, relax, and all the rest of it. I've got to reload programs and transfer files back in and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully I won't be doing it all day tomorrow. But it's really important that Sunday be kept clear. Clear for you, clear for those who are part of your tribe and close to you, clear for you and for the planet and for spirit and for the cosmic intelligence that you are, that is embodied within you already. It's just a matter of saying, I choose to know who I am, the highest vision version of that in any moment. And let others have their experience as well. Do not try to force anything upon anybody, because it will backfire. It's never a good idea. If you have any questions about anything pertaining to the eclipse, anything pertaining to the astrology for the next 6 months, make a comment, get in touch with me, and there will be a new thing that I'm going to be kicking out there next week, post-eclipse, a new offering that I think will be a very useful tool for those of you that it resonates for, and you can participate with it. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm really excited about the upcoming changes, and we're part of those changes, and we are influencers, if you will. I don't like that term. Okay, we can contribute. There we go. We can contribute mightily in ways that we can't even see right now to how these changes can go, how they could go. So everything's sort of up in the air, and that's okay. And when that happens, that means time to get your feet on the ground, all right? Get in your body, listen to your feelings, breathe deeply, enjoy the weekend. And I will speak to you next Tuesday, okay? On the 23rd, which is the day that Neptune turns retrograde. Oh, how exciting. And, the hits keep on coming. So, if there's nothing else you can do, at least dance, all right? Adios for now. Have a great weekend. Blessings on your journey. Look forward to hearing from you. And look after yourself and look after each other. Be excellent to each other. Take care. Bye.